What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here, and today we are playing some Watcher of Realms. Guys, we are diving into the Furious Torrent boss fight. A little bit of a sneak peek on the team that we're going to be using. I think it's a pretty common team, so nothing super crazy, but I am really excited to give this fight a try. Let's see what we can do. Let's dive right in. And welcome back, guys. Let's go ahead and test this team here. I'm going to test this team first, and then we'll show you the gear and kind of what we're using afterwards. But we are using a Racha and our Piercers here, along with a Dolores and Maul, just to give us a little bit of extra damage and AoE built in. We are fighting against Mr. Pelagios here, so that is interesting. So we're going to go ahead and place our Silas down here in the bottom, followed by our Nyx. Then we're going to place our Dolores in between. Then we're going to go ahead and place Razak on the left and Maul on the right. And this is how our setup is going to look. So we're going to go ahead and pop Silas here just to deal a little bit of damage to the boss. Hopefully get it cleared a little faster. And then at this point, we're pretty much just chilling. We're hanging out until we have some mobs that we need to handle on both sides. You'll see here that, you know, we are getting some mobs popping up on both sides, along with a few tridents in the middle. And the tridents are the biggest things that we need to deal with here, because the tridents allow us to deal damage to the boss via Mari. So you'll see here that we are, you know, doing pretty well so far already. This is one of the things where I definitely feel like our account was really built to handle this boss fight in particular, because we have a lot of piercers, and of course we did recently get our hands on a Racha, which is really helpful when it comes to handling anything involving piercers, right? Because we're getting a ton of extra damage and stats on the board in order to, you know, buff up our boys, right? So we're going to go ahead and pop all of the ultimates here, clear as many of these tridents as we can, get a ton of damage on the boss. We're also cleaning up the adds on both the left and the right sides. The adds are really important to be able to handle, so definitely make sure if you are doing this that you're doing your best to keep all of these adds handled. I highly recommend putting your stronger AoE DPS on the side that your Nyx is not on, if you have Nyx, of course, right? Because I think that Nyx is probably one of the best, if not for sure the best champions to have for this game mode, because she just does such a large amount of AoE damage. She does a very good job at handling, you know, most of this stuff. We're going to go ahead and do our last-ditch efforts here to clear as many of these as we can. Unfortunately, we are getting to the point where we're kind of getting overrun by adds, which is a pretty typical thing, unfortunately, in the situation that we are in currently. But I think we can probably sneak out just a touch more damage because of the range of some of the damage dealers that we have. Just a little bit more, nothing crazy. This is the team that we're working with. This is actually, I did do a few attempts of this boss before, and I actually did them without using Maul, and it looks like Maul did make a pretty big difference in terms of our damage. We didn't break through a tier, but we did get a new record, so this is what the damage looks like now. 39 million on Silas, 72 on Nyx. You can see Nyx is definitely one of the big boys here, or big girls, I guess. Razak is actually not doing as well as I expected him to. It is fair to probably point out that our Razak does not have his final ascension, but he does have some pretty decent gear, right? But he doesn't have this final ascension, so there's a minor issue there. He also, of course, does not have maxed skills, which is another big thing. While as my Nyx, if we go up to her, she does have max skills except for the basic, because we don't really care too much about the basic. She is also a 2, so she does get the additional duration of the spinning Fireblade, which is the ultimate. and she gets that little bit of additional base attack. I would really like to get her to A3. I contemplated actually using one of these soul stones, but I'm going to hold off for now because I think she's a pretty common legendary, and I don't want to waste that on someone that I could potentially just pull a ton of. However, getting Nyx to A5 is actually a really big deal for this because she does get the additional basic attack, dealing additional AoE damage, right? It basically makes each its base attack have a 50% chance to be a double attack, which is really, really helpful. Let's quickly take a look at the gear just so you can kind of see what we are working with, and then we'll do one more run on auto and just see if there's anything we can do to sort of change things up. So first things first, we've got Maul here. I do have Maul in a Soulbound Arcana set, and the goal here is to get a little bit of damage kind of scaling as we push into the fight, also having a large chunk of attack speed. As you can see here, we do have a 1.8 second attack speed, which it's basically half of the starting attack speed, but we also have a good chunk of crit rate and crit damage, almost 300% crit damage, which is pretty nice. In terms of artifacts, we are using a Sharpshooter's Crest. I do think that there is potential to be using something else. For example, the Bloodbond Signet I think is potentially viable here because we're not actually taking too much damage outside of the AoE that he does, and the AoE does the damage based off of how many tridents are left. So if we're doing our job and taking the tridents out, you're not going to be taking a ridiculous amount of damage. So the loss of 30% max HP is actually not as big of a deal as I think some might think it is overall. There is also potential for a Reaper's Emblem to be viable here because it gives you a flat 5% damage increase, but it also gives you additional 5% damage increase, stacking up to 2 times when you kill a target. Now, we are killing a lot of targets in here, which could potentially means that this is a higher damage output artifact for a good chunk of the fight. However, once you get to the point where it's a lot slower to kill the adds, I think this does end up becoming slightly worse. There is some potential that it is better. I would like to see, what some people think about that. And in fact, we can actually look now. Let's go look at the leaderboards and let's see what people are using. So we've got Nyx here. Nyx is actually using her exclusive, so that doesn't help us there. And then we have a Sharpshooter Crest on our Razak here. Pelagios also using a Sharpshooter's Crest. We can go here. Sharpshooter's Crest. Of course, he's using a Spirit Siphon. But let's scroll down a little further. Let's just go to a random person. Here we go. This person. Well, this person has the exclusive for Razak. So here we go. So this Nyx is using the Reaper's Emblem. So this does give up to 30% damage. But if we go and we look at, we'll go back. Well, actually, I guess I could just go to my Nyx, right? This does give 30% damage at base, right? So I think that the Sharpshooter Crest is going to be better because the other one is, let's see if I can find that person again. The other one is 30% with requirements, right? It's flat 10% and then 10% stacking 2 times, only lasting for 10 seconds. So it literally is just 30%. So I don't really think that the Reaper's Emblem is necessarily better. However, if you don't have access to Sharpshooter's Crest, then it is a viable alternative for sure. Yeah, let's go back to look at the rest of the gear. Dolores, I've shown this Dolores build hundreds of times. It's nothing crazy. Invigoration with some attack, right? We've got Keen Wisdom on, nothing crazy. Whoops. Then we have our Nyx. So Nyx is definitely my best geared, I think, in this situation because my goal is to have her deal as much damage as possible. So we do have a good chunk of attack. We're sitting at about 13k attack, which realistically, I think this is actually a double crit damage set. So we could actually, and I think we should do this. Let's actually see if we can find a Soulbound Arcana piece that has attack as the main stats. And swap some of this stuff around. So we do need to find something that has crit rate. This isn't the greatest piece of gear, so I don't really like that one. This has crit damage, so here we go. Let's see if we can find something with some good crit rate. We don't really have anything. Like, we've got this piece here, but this piece is on our Maul. So realistically, I don't think it's super crazy. Let's take a look at Maul. And let's see what he's working. He's working with attack, crit damage, attack. So he's working with the correct sort of setup. while as our Nyx is not quite on target. Let's see here. I really wish there was a way to do this. How about our left side gear? Do these both have crit rate? Yeah, they do both have crit rate. So there's really no way for us to generate more crit rate, unfortunately, because everyone has crit rate already. So we could... This is already attack, but let's see if we can find something with more crit rate. We can't. Well, this is slightly more crit rate. Yeah, this is slightly more crit rate, but I don't think it's enough to make a difference in terms of the rest of these pieces, right? Because, yeah, definitely not going to make a difference, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. Overall, I mean, it's not the end of the world. We do have the max sharpshooter crest on her, which is exciting. Razak, of course, is in Infernal Roar. I think that he could have the potential to be better in Soulbound Arcana, which actually we could try that. We could see if we could make a Soulbound Arcana set work for him. Let's see if we can give it a try. Let's swap some stuff around. Here, let's look for crit rate main, or not main, but secondary here. That's a good chunk of crit rate. We'll go ahead and do that one, and then let's go here. That's also a good chunk of crit rate. Let's see. 14% versus 14.5. Yes, we'll go ahead and take this one. And that unfortunately gives us double crit damage attack. Let's see if there's something better. Is this one... This one's not better in crit rate, but it is better overall. And then let's see if we can come over here and find some better crit rate pieces. That's a pretty good crit rate piece. That's a pretty good crit rate piece. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us quite enough crit rate. We're only at 81.5. So we would need to find some better crit rate stuff. What we could do is we could do a crit rate main stat. We've got this piece right here. So let's do this, and then let's look for Soulbound Arcana, and let's just find the highest stuff where we don't have to worry about crit rates. So let's look for crit damage. There's attack, crit damage, rage regen. That's pretty good. This one is attack speed, crit damage. This is a really nice piece. So let's do that one. And then we can also do... Could also find something else that just has... It doesn't have insane crit rate, right? Let's see here. Oh, wow, this is actually a really good piece. Like, definitely want to swap that, actually. And then here we could swap this. Look at that. There we go. Okay, so this is actually a much better set. So we actually end up having a ton of crit damage, even using a crit rate piece of gear, because we have these really high crit damage rolls on our left side gear, right? Really, really helpful. So let's give this another try. This time we have the Soulbound Arcana on our Razak, which could potentially increase our damage. I am going to go ahead and just do the auto fight because I don't want to sit here and like mess around all day. So let's do the auto fight. Let's see if this makes a difference. I think it will potentially make a difference because it's going to allow us to handle the left side a little bit better with our, stronger Razak, which I think will be really good overall. Let's see how it goes, though. While we're letting this run, guys, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button to let me know that you like this content. Also, leave a comment down below with how do you like this new Furious Torrent boss. I personally think it's actually pretty interesting. And I will say, I've said this time and time again, and I'm going to continue to say it as long as they continue to do it. I really enjoy the fact that they are bringing us content that is making champions shine for other reasons than just gear raid. It's really allowing us to use champions that we don't use all the time. For example, Rozek, Maul, and Nyx all perform the same job. However, you only really ever need to use a single one of them. While as in here, you want to actually use all of them, which is very interesting. Of course, if you go and you look at like the whale accounts, you are going to be seeing quite a bit different results because you're using champions such as Pelagios and other things. But overall, I think this does end up actually being a better for, you know, the overall success of the champions in certain locations. So it looks like that was slightly better. I don't remember the exact number we had before, but I do think that that was a slightly better score. Yes, it was. So 113. And we'll look there, and yeah, look at that. So we have a lot more damage coming from Rozek. And keep in mind, this is without the final star promotion. I really need to sit down and do that final star promotion. In fact, let me go ahead and do it right now. Let's go to here. Let's go to Marksman. Let's go here, and we're just going to run this auto fight in the background because I need to get that done because every little bit of attack is helpful. So we definitely want to work on that. But overall, this round of Immortal Codex has been really, really good for us in general. I do need to do my Conqueror. This was literally just a random, I just hit auto fight. I didn't optimize my gear. So Conqueror definitely has a little bit of room to grow. We'll get that. We'll definitely hit top 5%. Styx and Furious Torrent are looking really good. Top 2% for Styx is really exciting. Getting that Constance, I think, was a big game changer for us if you saw the previous video. And Furious Torrent, for our first run, being top 5% feels really good as well. I am really excited to see what happens when we do get our Wasteland Titan, because we do have a ton of the newer healers, and it's going to make a big difference. And of course, you'll be able to see we did get SS Plus on Hellfire Emperor. I believe we also did the same for Arbiter of Frost, S on Arbiter of Frost. Yeah, overall, I'm really excited to see, you know, how we fare when it comes to this entire run of the Immortal Codex. I'm definitely going to have to push Conqueror, and we might try Lord of Styx and Furious Torrent a few more times just to see if we can bump our scores up a small amount. But overall, guys, I think this is going really well for us so far. Let me know in the comment section down below how it's going for you. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good night. Peace.